guys, what is going on? Blossoms back. Welcome back to an episode of Top Drives. A lot of new things today. First of all, I changed my hotkey for the video, so if I click this one, it should be my big ass face. Then I go to this one and it goes back to the normal screen. I'm pretty sure. We'll find out in the edits. My hotkeys used to be 8 and 9, and every time I would let's say I'm looking for like the M8 GT, for example, and I put M8. Like, it would just mess everything up, and then like I would have to put 9 to reset me back. But anyway, that's one change. One that probably not anyone cares about. The second change, here's an interesting one. My laptop died today. I spent 4 hours trying to turn it on. It wouldn't turn on. I suspect it's a motherboard failure or some kind of motherboard damage or whatever that is, because it seems pretty common with those Razer laptops. So I have to take out my old laptop. If you've watched any of my YouTube videos from 2020, 2019, 2018, very old YouTube videos, I made those videos on the laptop that I'm recording on today. Can you freaking believe it, man? This one outlived the other laptop. Ironically, they're both Razers, but this one still is alive, so I hope it stays on that way. If the quality of the frame rate or whatever is a little bit more choppy on this one, if you hear my computer fan on this one, just letting you guys know, it's a way older laptop that I'm recording this on. This is like an 8-year-old laptop at this point. But it's still chugging through, okay? And you know what? Since we're using a throwback laptop and throwback methods to get this video out into YouTube, I think it's great for a little throwback YouTube series as well. So recently Hutch posted on Facebook and also Discord and all of their social media, basically talking and asking us for a survey on what our most iconic cars are. And you know what? They told us to pick 3 iconic cars, and I kind of answered the fact that, you know, we need more than 3 super iconic cars. So in today's video, I want to highlight some of my most iconic cars in 8 years of playing Top Drives, but also some of the most iconic cars in general. And I think the one way to start off, I think there's only one way to start off, is with Hollywood, right? I think anyone that has watched my YouTube channel for at least a couple of years, especially if you're an OG viewer that you watched all the way back from 2018, 2019, you guys will obviously know about Hollywood. This is my first fully upgraded legendary. This is my favorite car in my garage. I know that always changes. Sometimes it's the Demon, sometimes it's the 69 Charger, but if I really want to be super specific about it, the 69 Charger is my favorite car of all time. But when it comes to my favorite car in Top Drives alone, it's gotta be Hollywood. It's the first fully upgraded legendary, the first Dodge legendary that I've ever unpacked, the first legendary I ever named, and it's the most iconic one. If you asked me, if I asked you, actually not you asked me, if I asked you to name me a legendary that I've named, I think most of you guys would have forgotten every other legendary I've named besides maybe this one and Blossom Jr. probably. But yeah, Hollywood, it is my favorite. It is the most iconic one. Obviously, when Hutch asked me for 3 most iconic cars, this was the first one that came to mind. I've had this car for a very long time. October 2019 was when I pulled it, 2,207 days ago. It has a total amount of 9,326 races with a win percentage of 97%. Along the way, it has won me multiple prize cars. It's won me many Dodge events, carbon fiber, ceramic packs, all that kind of stuff. One of the biggest things I can remember is that the Viper ACR won me the Dodge Charger jailbreak because that was 2016 requirements, and this car absolutely killed it. Fantastic car. Fantastic car. So this is the most iconic car in my garage. Now, going on right next to it, the other car that I also submitted is going to be the Challenger SRT Demon. Actually, that's a lie. I did not submit this one to Hutch. Can you believe it? But yeah, this is indeed Blossom Jr., right? This is my Dodge Demon, also a fully upgraded Dodge. I worked my ass off to get this car from the first time try series, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, this is a great segue to the next super iconic car in my garage. The Challenger SRT Demon only exists in my garage and only exists with 2,418 days, because obviously this car came out a couple of times. So this is the first time the Demon ever came out. 10,000 races, 94% win ratio, and the only reason why this car exists is because of my second most iconic car. It is indeed the Tahoe Custom. Also, I named my cowboy hat after this car. That's why my cowboy hat is called Tahoe, and if it wasn't for the Tahoe Custom, I would not have won the Demon. Simple as that. There was one dirt track set, and you needed this one because it was the best all-surface / off-road tire car that you could have used for those requirements, and the Tahoe was absolutely amazing. You needed this car to win the Demon on the first time. If you didn't have this car, you simply wouldn't have won the Demon. Simple as. Had this car for a very, very long time, 2,420 days old, 632 races, 67% win ratio. Now I get it, not a lot of races, not a lot of, not a high win ratio. I don't care, right? This is a car that won me, arguably, my most anticipated, my most wanted, my favorite prize car in the entire game. And it was at the matter of how it won it as well. Remember, bring us all the way back to 2019, okay? Demon came out, I think it was February 2019 or something along those lines. Bring us all the way back to that time. I was still a student, I wasn't making a lot of money, and I wasn't really much of a pay to win, right? So I had a very weak garage at the time. I didn't have as much spending power as other players, which also meant that I didn't win a lot of prize cars as much as other players back in 2019. So winning a prize car back then was a pretty big deal for me. Now winning a prize car is like, part of the game. But back then, winning a prize car was a really, really big deal for me. So for me to win a Demon back then, with this car being the X factor, was just absolutely huge. So Tahoe Custom, that's another iconic car. So the three cars I submitted to Hutch, the Viper, the Tahoe, what's the last one? Well, the last car that I actually brought in is something more of a nostalgic factor. It is my oldest ultra rare in the game. Every time I talk about every single ultra rare that I have, I always want to mention this car, just even for a little bit. It's my drag spec E39 BMW M5. I love this thing. This thing used that 88 MRA back in like 2017, 2018. This car had a massive MRA buff. No, not buff, it just had really good MRA before it got nerfed, right? This is the oldest ultra in my garage, 2,904 days old. It's done 1,005 races with a 77% win ratio. Again, not a high win ratio and not a lot of races, right? For, an 8-year-old game. That being said, it is my oldest ultra rare, and it reflects kind of like the novelty of how I used to play the game when I didn't understand the meta, before things like Top Drive's clubs, before things like Top Drive's records, or anything on Discord that would help you out, and you're figuring things out on your own. As you can see, I went drag spec. I really enjoyed drag specking cars back in the day, and another example of this is the oldest car in my garage. Not just the oldest super rare, but the oldest car in my garage. Another drag spec car on a car that probably shouldn't be drag spec. The thing about the E39 M5 that I love so much was that, back then when the MRA was really good and I drag spec'd it, it was actually such a good dragster. It won me so many races, but now it's not really known as a drag spec car anymore. Here's another one though, a drag spec Subaru Legacy. Look at that. This is the oldest car in my garage for sure. This is the definition of the oldest car. 2,919 days old. That is how old this car is. It's done 1,500 races with a 67% win ratio. I mean, honestly, this thing hasn't really won me much, but who cares, right? It is the oldest car in my garage. It is the absolute oldest car in my garage. There is no car in my garage that's older than the Subaru Legacy, because most of the campaign cars that I've won from the campaign, I sold off or fused away because they're kind of crap, right? Here, I'll give you a comparison, right? 2919. Compare that to I have the campaign Lotus Elise, by the way. The campaign Lotus Elise. This is, no, it's not that one. It's not 2071. This is 2880. And this is 2897. So the oldest one. So this is the campaign Elise from Lady Blackwood, right? Not as old as a Subaru Legacy. So the Subaru Legacy is another one alongside the BMW, which deserves a shout as one of the most iconic cars in my garage. So yeah, if you ask me to name you the most iconic cars in my garage, those are the first few that come to my mind, right? The oldest car I have, the oldest ultra I have, my favorite legend that I've unpacked, my favorite legendary that I've won. Here's another one. The BMW, where is it? I believe it is a 7 Series, the 740D. This is a very old one. Now, what makes this car so iconic, so significant to my garage is this is the first ever Epic I've unpacked from a ceramic pack, right? The first ever purple car I got from a regular ceramic pack, a free pack. 2,853 days old, and it's done 3,369 races, 82% win ratio. This car did win me, I think, a Tri-Series long down the line as well, So it turned out, helping me out. I fully upgraded it, did it 323. Very, very iconic. That's the key word. Iconic car in my garage, okay? Now, I want to show you a couple more cars that are iconic to myself, and then I'm going to throw in some iconic cars which I feel like every player can relate with, okay? So here's another one. This is probably, still until today, the hardest Tri-Series I've ever won. the Bugatti Chiron Sport. Also incredibly iconic. I would say not really the car, but more of the Tri-Series. This was the most insane Tri-Series I've ever done. I think, you know, Giselle's sitting next to me right now, my girlfriend, right? I think she would actually like cringe at the fact of this, but I stayed up for 36 hours playing top drives. I'm not sure if you know this, babe. 36 hours straight of playing top drives to win the Bugatti Chiron Sport. Again, like I said earlier on in today's video, we got to think about my perspective back in 2020 when this car came out, right? Like I was like unemployed and I didn't have a lot of cash, and like I still wasn't winning prize cars as much as other players were. So to win a prize car of this caliber, especially this being the best prize car in top drives in the whole game at the time, was huge. And like I said, the Tri-Series was absolutely crazy. 36 hours non-stop. I am not joking. I did not get any sleep. What happened was that I had an alarm every 90 minutes when I wanted to sleep, because I would wake up and play the tickets, wake up and play the tickets. Again, I didn't have the spending power to just buy gold every single time and buy tickets. So I literally manually played every single ticket for just about 36 hours to win this Bugatti Chiron Sport. It was absolutely ridiculous, the amount of time and effort that went into this, right? So that definitely deserves a shout as one of the most iconic cars. Look, guys, I think this came out like right at the beginning of the pandemic. So like there wasn't anything better for me to do anyway, but you know, I'm just saying. Here's another iconic one, okay? The Porsche 918 Spider. This one I paid to win, hard to get. Everyone knows about this one already. How did I win this car? I won on a plane. The Tri-Series ended when I was on a plane. I was going to Disneyland with the boys, right? It was a graduation gift. Back in like 2018 or something like that. We're all on the way down to Orange County, won this on the plane, bought Wi-Fi on the plane, on top of buying all the Porsche packs to win this thing. Yeah, this one was crazy. This is like, again, bring me back to 2018, right? My mom didn't trust me with a credit card at all. So what I had to do was like, I had to go like Walgreens, right? Get those iTunes gift cards, load it into the app store, then go buy the gold, then go open the packs. And yeah, that's how I got the Porsche 918 Spider. I had a pretty decent hand actually to win that one. Fully upgraded it after a long time. I'll show you the stats in this bad boy. This is the car with the most races on my account. 92% win ratio with 15,000 races. 15,000 races. That is absolutely absurd. So off the top of my head, these are the most iconic cars in my garage, I would say. The Bugattis, the Porsches, some of the Dodgers that you see. Obviously, before we get to the general icons, I gotta talk about one more. It is indeed. I'm sure you guys know about this one. This is iconic in so many different ways. This is iconic to my garage. This is iconic to my channel. This is iconic to everyone that came around the journey to me. I don't think Giselle knows about this, but this is the Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat wide body, right? This thing is absolutely... It tormented me for the longest time. Since the beginning of American Dream, when it came around in 2019, I think. No, 2018. I think it was 2018, American Dream. I've always wanted the wide body. It was always slightly better than the green Hellcat Challenger, but I had like 6 of those, if you remember about that one. That was absolutely ridiculous as well. Let me just go into Challenger, and you get to, yeah, you remember this? You remember this? We got 7 of them just sitting there now. But yeah, I always wanted this, and I never got it. I opened hundreds of Dodge packs, and I never got the car. In the end, and I shit you not, I spent over $1,000 US trying to get this car from opening every single Dodge pack that would come to the game, right? My strategy back then, 2018, 2019, 2020, every time there was a Dodge pack, I just opened every single one. Spent over $1,000 on just Dodge carbon fibers alone, and I never got the SRT Hellcat wide body. That's how we got, you know, that's how we got Hollywood. That's how we got Bollywood, right? That's how we got the Mother Viper. That's how we got all my Chargers, and that's how we got all my Challengers. I never got this car once. And when do I get this car? When do I get this car? Someone put it 1,709 days ago. When did I get this car? December 30th, on my birthday, from a 2018 premium pack. From a 2018 freaking premium pack. And then in that same opening, we go open a, no, sorry, not a 2018 premium, a 2018 carbon, yeah, 2018 carbon fiber, right? And then in that same opening, I go and open an American premium on the same day, on my birthday, same days, right? It's 1708, because I think when the moment I unpacked this, like it was like an hour later, and like we clicked over midnight or something like that. I can't remember. But these two cars came in the same opening. They came in the same opening. The video's on the channel. You can check it out. unpack the same car again. Unpack the same car again. So, I mean, a car that, you know, I've always wanted, chased for years, never unpacked. I unpacked 2 of them in the same night in like 2020, I think it was. And until today, for the next like 5 years, I've never pulled a Hellcat wide body again. Isn't that crazy? Absolutely crazy. One night, my birthday, pull it twice, max it twice, never pull it again for 5 years. How the hell does that happen? So yeah, anyway, those are my most iconic cars, but let's talk about some that are just iconic for most players. Again, I'm going to talk less, like, you know, give less information about these. I just know that they're really, really iconic. So here, Dodge Stealth. Remember this one? This used to be the most race top drives car in the game. It used to be an uncommon back in the day. It was everybody's saver. So Dodge Stealth was a great one. I think about the trio of some of the greatest ultra rares to have ever graced the game. I think of the Lancia 037. Right, this used to be an ultra rare. It was everybody's favorite ultra back in the day. 037 was absolutely fantastic. Another one is the Lotus. Is it 340? Yeah, 340 Lotus. Right, 340 was incredibly iconic as well back in the day. Right, this was one of the best ultra rares. This one, the Lancia, they were always going back to back, and there was one more. There was one more ultra rare that everybody heralded as one of the best cars in the entire game. You guys remember this ultra rare? It was indeed the oh, it's an epic now. Yeah, it's fallen so far from grace. It's so sad. Indeed, the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo. I still have it. Legacy rarity. Used to be an ultra rare. How old is this bad boy? 2,090 days, 2,099 races. Right? The 037 Lancia Delta. I remember I made a big podcast video with Cannonball and with Cannon Run, sorry, and we were talking about what was the most iconic ultra rare of all time, and this is one of them. This one, the 037 Lancia, right? The Lancia and the 340R. Those 3 incredibly iconic in terms of game changers. Now, I think it goes without saying that all of the campaign cars are also iconic. The McLaren 12C comes to mind, the Camaro comes to mind as well as the Trailblazer, right? The Trailblazer has come to mind. This thing has gone through multiple stat changes over the times as well, but it is indeed a very, very good car. Now let's move on to, you know, fresher pastures, okay? More recent memories, right? What were some really, really OP cars in recent times? Well, here's one. The BMW M5 used to be an epic in the beginning of the game, went down to an ultra rare, and absolutely destroyed the competition. So the M5, I would say, is very iconic, infamous, some people might say. Here's another one, the Maxi Turbo, right? The Maxi Turbo. So, you know, in the past, the top 3 were like the 037, the 340R, and the Evo. Now, I mean, well, not now anymore, but, you know, more recently, I would say the top 3 belong to the Peugeot 306 Maxi, the BMW M5, and perhaps the Afiji. Yeah, perhaps the Afiji. I think the Fiji is definitely up there as well. The Afiji is great. Ooh, talking about old greats, old icons, the Colorado ZR2. Huh? How about that one? That used to be an ultra. That used to be incredible. It used to be like 84 handling when fully upgraded. And then it went up to epic, and then it got a handling cut. So now the thing's completely useless. But it used to be absolutely fantastic. You know what was alongside the Colorado? The Murray. The Murray used to be fantastic. 3.495 as an ultra rare. So good it went up to epic, then it went back down to ultra rare because it got its 0 to 60 cut from 3.4 to 4.4, right? So this was another car that was just so incredibly iconic. And then we got to talk about the memes, okay? We got to talk about the memes, right? We got the Honda Beat, right? Honda Beat's a super iconic one as well. I'm sure a lot of players just have really fond memories of this cute little guy. Who else was a big little meme? I mean, he's in the loading screen. Every time you load into the top drives, it always says like loading up or powering up the Mountie Boy or whatever that is, right? The Mountie Boy. Again, it's another meme, right? So that's one. And we also have the Isetta. Yeah, I don't even own the car. The Isetta. Yeah, I mean, known as, you know, one of the worst cars in the game, but also one of the most unique and interesting cars. Yeah, the BMW Isetta 250, again, is another iconic car in the game that definitely needs to have some recognition as well. I think a lot of people can agree that the Bugatti Chiron, you know, for the completely opposite reasons of the BMW, should be iconic as well. It was the best unpackable legendary for a very long time. Obviously, there was the the super iconic video. I would say this is the most iconic top drives video of all time. I've made thousands of top drives videos, but I believe that the most iconic top drives video on all of YouTube belongs to Tom's top drives. I think it is Top Drives Tom's or whatever, and he unpacked the shoe on it, and he has that iconic lines, "I felt it in my balls," or something like that. You know, that was absolutely crazy. And then obviously there was the other top drives YouTuber, super iconic back in the day, Bugatti top drives. That was actually his name, and he had like 5 of these or something like that, fully upgraded as well. And then obviously he left. But yeah, those are some of the most iconic cars in my opinion. So yeah, there are a lot of high-end cars in the game, right? And I'm sure everybody has different favorites for different reasons. You know, for today's video, we started off with my personal favorites, right? Like the Viper and the Demon and all that kind of stuff. And obviously we need to talk about, you know, I don't know if I want to call it iconic. You know, they're iconic in my real life, but are they iconic in top drives? You can make a case for the Charger. The Charger was super meta for a couple of years, right, before it got nerfed. Right, so the Charger, 69 Charger was fantastic. And then you've got things like, you know, the E-Class, the Mercedes E-Class, the W212 E-Class. It's iconic to me because I own the car. But like, is it iconic to top drives? I don't think so, right? It's iconic to me, my personal life, but not to top drives. So I probably wouldn't include that in a video like this. I mean, like, you know, it is in the video already, as you can see, but you know, you get what I mean. It's not really the main bread and butter that we're talking about, right? I mean, we can always go forever for this, right? Other endless cars include like the G63, for example. I don't know why that's not showing up. So we need to go back to Mercedes. The yellow G63, the Ultra, right? This thing was like the trailblazer killer of its time, or even the Range Rover V8. That was absolutely fantastic. Or even like the Renault Desire, for example. This used to be a Supra and everybody freaking loved it, right? It's an endless array of iconic cars, but in my opinion, these are the ones that come straight to my head. Let me know down in the comments below, what have I missed, right? I'm sure there are lots of cars I didn't talk about in today's video. What have I missed? What are some of the most iconic cars in top drives? Let me know down in the comments below. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly, got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly, got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax in my Bonneville
Pontiac.
Hold tight all night, cruise to Jacksonville
Atlantic.
Blonde hair, don't care, look like Leslie Brooks. Pin up girls everywhere with the drop dead look. Swing it side to side as we slow dance to the night, when I'll hold your perfect hand and take